Hey, TouchPoint friends, welcome to this month's edition of TouchPoint Minute. We are glad that you're here. Thanks for carving time out of your busy days to join us. My name is Ross Miller. I serve as president here at TouchPoint. I'm in my 8th year, I believe, serving in this position, and I'm grateful that I get to do what I get to do. I absolutely love it. And I'm really excited to introduce you today. If you haven't already met her, meet Becky. Becky is a recent team member, I guess you would say, on our consulting team. She serves as a lead consultant, and she brings unbelievable experience sitting in the shoes on staff at a church, as well as hands on the keyboard, leading strategy and deployment of technology. But Becky, I'll let you give an introduction of yourself.
Yeah. So I was on staff at Salem Alliance Church in Salem, Oregon for almost 20 years. And then the last 9 of those years, I was heavily involved with TouchPoint. So after teaching at Summit and talking to lots of you over the years, I found that I just loved working with churches all over and loved getting to help outside of just one single church. And here I am.
Becky, thank you for joining us. We have a very important topic that we're talking about this month, which is maybe the most far-reaching feature functionality in TouchPoint to connect people in our communities to our church, and that's registrations. How do people raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be involved. I want to grow. I want my kids to be involved. I need help. All of the things that go along with that. So it's far-reaching. Our goal for today is that you would walk away with maybe an idea of where to use this in an area that you're not, or how can you put in a little extra effort on the front end to make it a better experience for a family or a church or a mom or a dad or a kid or a single adult or whatever to jump in and get involved by making it a simple, easy experience. So that's our objective for today. Becky, let me ask you a question. You work with a ton of churches. Where do you see registrations being used so we can kind of get in that mindset of where this is applying in our churches?
Yeah, well, I think you're right that it is one of the most far-reaching. Registrations are for your people who are already plugged in. Registrations are for your community members. Registrations are for just about anybody. So it doesn't matter what kind of event you're doing, it's going to tap so many different spheres of people. So some of the examples of just things I've been doing recently with churches are talking about plan my visit or a new guest form. How are we being that front door? How are we inviting people in, getting the information that we need, but in a way that's quick and seamless and really easy on them?
Let me ask you, let me interrupt and ask you a question on that. Is that typically through a website? Like I go and I'm like, hey, I want to go to City Church, and I click on I'm new here or first visit or something.
I see that working a lot of different ways. So some churches do have that open on their website so that if you know, I'm going to church, we're going to start going in September, I'm going to fill out a form and I'm going to give you all my information ahead of time. The other thing is lots of churches will use that on an iPad or on a registration in their welcome center. So there's a variety of different ways that you can do that, whether it's ahead or in the minute. But again, our goal is to make that as seamless and as easy as possible, especially for the families who are coming in with multiple kids.
Yep. Okay, examples to get us in our mindset.
Yep. Fall tends to be the time for everybody wants to do retreats, right? So there are all kinds of questions and things that you have to sign and things that we need to know about you if we're going to take you or your child overnight. It's also the key time for joining a Bible study, joining a small group, a life group. Lots of people will start volunteering in the fall. Maybe we're looking at a volunteer application or a volunteer process. I've even worked with some churches that run a daycare or a school. We've been building some school registrations. We've been building, they offer music classes, music lessons. There's so many different ways that we can use registration forms. And again, it's hitting every sphere of people that we can think of.
So let's think of those as maybe some examples as we kind of just brainstorm and talk through ways, best practices, things that we can sharpen our saw to make our registration forms better. what are features or things that you see working well with the churches you talk to?
Yeah, I think a couple, my favorite ones that are kind of key are the quick sign in. So we have made our registration forms now to where all you have to do is have a cell phone number. You put your cell phone number in, it's going to text you a 6-digit code, and then it's already going to be connected to your family. So I know it has always been challenging, especially for adults who are registering their children. Any of us who have been doing registration forms for any amount of time are going to know adults tend to register themselves for VBS and for kids classes. And this quick sign-in option that allows you to list your whole family member in front of you and select the person who's coming has really solved a lot of those challenges, and has really cleaned up the way that we're able to do child registrations.
So if I have young kids, oftentimes we would see my cell phone associated with my child's account or my email associated with my child's account. So when I'm registering them, I mean, you see it all over the place, whether it's my dentist office or my church software. A lot of times it'll think that this cell phone is actually my child. With quick sign in, you put in your phone number and it pops up all the associated family members, so it eliminates that confusion.
Exactly. And so it's very easy for you to just select the child out of your list rather than asking for boxes where you have to then fill in information. So the other thing that the quick sign in does is it's able to use all of the information that you already have saved in your account. So if you've already filled out a registration form for a retreat and you've already given us your doctor and your insurance information and your t-shirt size, that's all still going to be there. And we're not going to ask you to fill that out again. So having that connection, again, this is the piece of being known. You are already known.
Got it.
We provide our cell phone number. We can show you all of the things that we have saved about
So in
you.
my form, it would remember my preferences, and if I'm a size large t-shirt, and I could confirm that or change it if I've changed. Conditional logic. Let's shift gears and talk about that for a minute, because that's an area where we can put work in on our side to make life easier for people in our communities. How do you see conditional logic working and working well?
Yeah. So when we talk about conditional logic, what we're talking about is sort of this if-then statement. So if I say yes to this question, I'm going to see the next question, or I'm going to skip ahead 3 questions. So that comes in super handy. Again, back to the example of kids. When you're registering your kid for something, you're often going to be asked about, do you have allergies? Yes or no. Do you have medical needs? Yes or no. And instead of asking people to just skip over the things that don't apply to them, we're able to tailor their experience in a way that if they say no, it just skips them on to the next thing. If you want to join a women's group or a men's group, that's an option. And it will split you up and give you different options based on the selection that you've made.
So this is a really important one that can lead to, you've probably seen, I've heard of some very complex conditional logic where you're literally asking, do you have kids? Yes or no? If yes, then what grades are they in? And based on grades and ages, then you go through multiple layers of conditional logic. So it can get complex. Any advice on how complex is too complex, or if you're comfortable, use that tool to its fullest power?
Yeah. One of the things I've been doing a lot recently with pretty complex registrations is actually being able to use a couple of different registrations tied together. So based on some of the choices that you've made in the first one, that then linking to another registration, and asking a different set of questions. So you really can tie several together. You're also able to now join an involvement. So even as you're selecting this conditional logic and you're making these different choices, one of the things it can do is when you've nailed down which kind of small group you want to be in, you can actually then just be put into that specific small group involvement based on the answers that you've already put here. So there's not really even the secondary step for us of moving people to different involvements and filtering and all of those kinds of things, because the system is going to do that for us now.
So we do the work on the front end to make sure that we have conditional logic built out right, and that part of that process, it could join an involvement or even join multiple involvements if that's needed. And if we do the work on the front end, then it makes our life in the back office easier, and it still provides a great experience for the person on the other end. Hey, thank you for joining me. I'm so glad to get on your calendar and get some time with you. I know when we first talked about this, you were like, I love solving problems and I'm in the weeds and I don't know what I would share, but I think that just sharing some of the stories that you see out in the field is just so great and helpful. Our prayer is that it would just help people connect to their local church through our partner churches, and we're grateful for that. There are, as we wrap, there are a couple maybe next steps or things if you're thinking, okay, that's great, but where do we go from here? If you haven't seen our training videos, they've all been updated in the last, I don't know how many months, but in there, I did a quick search. If you go to training.touchpointsoftware.com, I just did a quick search for registrations, and there were 11 videos that popped up. And I think 7 of them were in a series. So if you want more info, that's a great place to get it. If you want to get help from some of the smartest, best people who all they do is help churches on TouchPoint, our consulting team, including Becky, would love to serve you. They can do it by the call or the hour, or we have discounted rates for our churches that say, hey, we want to just get on a monthly thing and have the ability to talk to Becky every month. And we'd love to do that with you if that's something that you're able to do. And then finally, we want to invite you to Summit. We hope to see you. We'll be in Bentonville, Arkansas this September, and would love to grab some hallway time with you and have Q&A. But maybe more importantly, for you to connect with other churches that are maybe a similar size or similar in kind of their journey, or maybe down the street from you that you can pick up the phone and process ideas like this with. So there are a few next steps. Thanks for joining us. Becky, thank you for all of your wisdom and for joining us today as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye.